Welcome back, detectives. Let's dive into another horrible case. The case of Stephanie Graham. On July 7, 2007, Stephanie's parents woke up to find their 20-year-old daughter missing. She had gone for an evening walk with friends but didn't return home. The worried parents contacted all her friends, but no one knew Stephanie's whereabouts. They then reported her disappearance to the police. Stephanie Graham was born on February 9, 1987, in Phoenix City, Alabama, a small town with about 40,000 residents. Her parents, Kevin and Lisa Graham, were childhood friends who grew up and went to school together. After college, they got married. A year later, they welcomed their daughter Stephanie, followed by a son they named Wine. The Graham family was said to be very loving. Kevin worked in the construction business, while Lisa was an accountant. Their ventures were successful, making the family well off. Stephanie excelled in school, and her relatives described her as smart and kind. After graduating at 16, she enrolled in college to study accounting, aspiring to become an accountant like her mother and manage their family business's finances. Unfortunately, during her college years, she developed issues with alcohol and illegal substances. On July 6, 2007, a truck driver contacted the Russell County Sheriff's Office around midnight. He reported seeing a body on a dirt road near Antona, Alabama. When police arrived, they discovered the body was that of a young woman, approximately 20 years old. She had been shot 4 times in the back and twice in the back of the head. Without a purse, cell phone, or identification, her identity was difficult to establish. Police found several 9mm shell casings at the scene. The area was poorly lit, with no surveillance cameras or street lights. The police began investigating the murder. Initially, they suspected that the girl had been raped and then killed. The victim was identified by her fingerprints as 20-year-old Stephanie Graham. The police went to inform Stephanie's family about the tragedy. The news of Stephanie's murder devastated her parents, who had hoped for their daughter's safe return. Stephanie's parents told the police that she had no enemies, but during the conversation, they mentioned a violent ex-boyfriend named Larry, who had treated her poorly. Stephanie and Larry had dated for about a year until her parents persuaded her to break up with him. The family was convinced that Larry was involved, making him the main suspect. However, the police discovered that Larry was in prison at the time for assault. When they interrogated him, Larry stated that although they had broken up, they continued to communicate. He had even called her on the evening she disappeared, but her best friend Mimi answered the call. As a result, Larry was removed from the list of suspects. The police were interested in Stephanie's best friend, Mimi, who answered her phone. Larry recounted what Mimi told him. Stephanie and her new boyfriend were with them the night they went for a walk together. But then Stephanie left and forgot her phone. It turned out Stephanie had to appear in court the next day for a shooting in Columbus a year earlier. She was riding in a car with friends when someone opened fire. Stephanie was later arrested and charged along with others involved. It was later learned that Stephanie's father had to post $100,000 bail. At this time, the autopsy report was available, revealing that the cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds. It was determined that the girl had not been raped. There were no injuries or male biological fluids present. However, her underwear was pulled down, possibly to mislead the police. The police decided to question Glenn, Stephanie's new boyfriend. He said they were spending time together in the evenings and having fun when Stephanie suddenly mentioned she needed to meet a friend. They dropped her off at the nearest gas station, where they saw her get into a black pickup truck driven by a black man. Glenn said the driver may have been Kenny Walton, a family friend. The police were skeptical of Glenn's story, finding it strange that Stephanie was released so easily and not concerned that she would get into a stranger's car. However, due to the lack of evidence against him, he was released. The police began to investigate the family friend that Glenn had told them about. The police learned that Stephanie trusted Kenny deeply, considering him a second father. It turned out he had a previous conviction for distributing substances. The police summoned him for questioning on July 7th. Kenny appeared at the police station and denied any connection to Stephanie's murder. The police then showed Kenny photographs from the crime scene to observe his reaction. Kenny said that he could not look at these horrible photographs because he was very close to her. He said Stephanie was like a daughter to him. According to him, Stephanie called him around 10 p.m., asking to meet at a gas station to discuss an upcoming trial. She confessed she was scared about going to court despite her innocence and even asked for help with buying a car to leave the city and avoid court. Kenny refused to assist her with the car. He said Stephanie stayed behind when he left the gas station. It seemed unusual for Kenny, who viewed himself as a second father to the girl, to leave her alone at a gas station late at night. The police were skeptical of his story, so they reviewed the gas station CCTV footage. The footage showed Stephanie getting into the front passenger seat of a car, which then drove away. This revealed that Kenny had lied. The police called him back for further questioning and showed him the surveillance camera footage. Then he began to confess. Kenny told the police that they were near the city. While driving, Stephanie needed to use the restroom. They stopped, and she got out of the car, walked a short distance, and squatted down. At that moment, Kenny suddenly pointed a gun at her and shot her twice in the back of the head. After she fell, he approached her and shot her 4 more times in the back. This explains why her underwear had pulled down. However, that was not the most shocking part of the story. When the police questioned Kenny about his actions, he explained that Stephanie's mother, Lisa, had hired him and paid him to do it. He was in urgent need of money at the time. The police were shocked, as Lisa showed no signs of suspicion and appeared devastated by her daughter's murder. Kenny further claimed that the murder weapon was Lisa's 9mm pistol, which she had given him before the crime. Afterward, he returned the pistol to her. This led the police to obtain a warrant to search the Stephanie family's home. When they arrived, the family's father, Kevin, opened the door and seemed confused about the search. Lisa was not home. The police asked Kevin if all his firearms were accounted for. He confirmed they were and mentioned that his wife owned 2 9mm pistols. Kevin opened the gun cabinet without suspicion, finding only his own pistol inside. Lisa's pistol was later found elsewhere in the house and sent for ballistics testing. Lisa was then arrested. Initially, she denied any involvement in the incident, claiming that she loved her daughter dearly and would never harm her. However, under pressure, she eventually confessed. Lisa begged her husband not to post Stephanie's bail because she feared losing the $100,000. Lisa shared her thoughts with Kenny, and he reportedly joked that she should kill the girl. Lisa agreed. According to her, she did not think Kenny was serious. Ballistics results of the weapon showed that it was the same type of weapon used to shoot Stephanie. There was blood on the gun, but Lisa could not give an answer as to why her gun was in Kenny's hands. Lisa Graham was later arrested for murder. Stephanie's father, Kevin, was shocked to hear of Lisa's involvement in the murder. Kenny Walton pleaded guilty to the murder and was sentenced to life without parole on June 14, 2012. Lisa Graham's trial followed, during which she underwent a psychological evaluation. The results showed that Lisa, 77, exhibited signs of depression and borderline personality disorder. But she was still considered sane. The psychiatrist declared that Lisa understood the consequences of her actions. During the trial, Kenny testified against Lisa, claiming that she had asked him to kill Stephanie. He alleged that Lisa had repeatedly asked him to kill for various reasons. The neighbor also testified earlier, confirming that Lisa had offered him $5,000 to kill her daughter. Lisa never pleaded guilty at the temple and begged for mercy. In November 2015, Lisa Graham was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. She has repeatedly appealed her conviction over the years, but the sentence has remained in place. She remains in prison, awaiting trial, becoming the fifth woman in Alabama to face the death penalty.